Give me an idea of the type of research that you do for a book, and what does that involve?
Well, Molly, who had been sexually abused, I had to do a lot of research on the sexual abuse.
Okay.
And that was that was mind-boggling, because 1 out of 4 girls are abused by the time they're 18, and 1 out of 6 boys.
Oh my God, really?
And it's 80% of the time it's by family members. So it was.
That wasn't pleasant research, was it?
No, it really wasn't. It was very difficult, and I have known people that have been sexually abused, so
Sure.
it impacts their whole life,
Right.
even when they're adults. So I had to do quite a bit of research with that. And then Molly became addicted to heroin. And I had to do a lot of research in rehabs and what happens with drug addicts, and the whole process, you know, from beginning to end, how they have to hit bottom, the craziness that goes on all in between, you know, when they're trying to get better and when they're using. So that was really interesting to read, because in my head, I knew I was going to make Molly better. So I made her as horrible as she could be, and then she got better. So I don't want to give away the whole story.
Sure, I understand.
But another part I wrote about, and this was very interesting, and this I knew nothing about, because she became pregnant in high school.
Mm-hmm.
And she had to give the baby up. So I did a lot of research on teenage pregnancies in the 1960s. But the research I found out, teenage pregnancies have been going on into the 1800s, which you never really think about.
No.
People having sex in the 1800s.
No,
like, oh my
didn't
God.
happen at all, no.
No, like today it's just so acceptable.
Right.
But in those days, even in the 60s when she got pregnant.
So you must immerse yourself completely into these projects.
Yeah. So it was fun
and
developing.
still working full time as a nurse as you're writing.
Yeah. Well, my first book, I was not working full time.
Okay.
But with the other 2, I was. And yeah, I mean, it just a lot of research. Oh, and the Vietnam War. Although I was from that era, I forgot a lot about it.
Yeah.
You know, so I had to go and research, because Sean was in the 82nd Airborne. I had to find out what the 82nd Airborne did.
Right.
And I interviewed a couple of friends of mine, older friends that were in the war. So that was.
How much of your research is actually put into the book itself, or is your research done to just generally kind of educate, help you to become an expert of what you're generally writing about, obviously?
Yeah, I applied a lot of it into the book. I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't want to make any mistakes, especially with the Vietnam War. I mean,
Right.
I wanted to get everything down. But it's funny, and you have to have an editor. I never realized how much you really have to have a good editor. And I had Martin Luther King marching up the State House steps in Washington, and my editor called me up and said, "You know the date you had him marching? He was dead." So I said,
Oops.
"Good thing you picked that up, because somebody would."
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I just had the dates wrong. So different things like that.
So
a lot of political research.
Really?